Apples of all varieties are a staple of the harvest season. Newswatch 16's Jeremy Lewan takes a look back at his taste test last year of the many different varieties at Brace's Orchard in this latest installment of Jeremy's Journeys.
Welcome back to Jeremy's Journeys, where today Mom and I are at Brace's Orchard in Dallas in Luzerne County. Brace's Orchard has been around since the early 1800s. For 9 generations, the Brace family has been picking apples.
We've been farming for over 100 years, and in 5 years will be 200 years farming in Franklin Township. It's quite an honor to be able to survive all the problems of being a fruit grower, because you're at the mercy of Mother Nature.
It is one of only 2 family fruit farms still operating in Luzerne County and is comprised of a sprawling 200 acres of land. 100 of those acres are jam-packed with peach, pear, and apple trees as far as the eye can see. Here at Brace's Orchard, there's over 30 varieties of different apples, and this is the most popular, the Honeycrisp. And it's also the most popular with us. Speechless.
Listen to that crunch.
We were whisked on a tour of the entire orchard by Ron, a longtime Brace family friend, and his faithful dog, Bella, who has become the canine orchard overseer. We continued on our journey.
Wow. Is that them?
That's them. That's the Ruby. That's the Ruby Mac.
They look like plums.
Next up were the Ruby Macs, a tart yet sweet variety with a deep red skin and snow-white flesh, a cross between a McIntosh and a Reuben Star apple. Hi, Bella. So here we have a Ruby Mac. Special about Ruby Mac, what is it?
Just the taste and the color. It's an excellent eating apple. Very good for sauce. Very good for just about anything. Baking.
Some of the apple crop was negatively affected by the weather last year. Despite all of the severe thunderstorms we had that summer, Brace's was luckily spared from hail, which would have sliced through their apples as it fell. Instead, there was a frost in May of that year, and that created something called a
frost ring. Well, that's what you see on the skin of the apple. On just, not every one, but you'll find a couple that have that.
Frost rings do not affect the taste of the apple. They form when ice wedges itself between the surface tissue and the outer skin of the young apples, just as they're starting to develop. Luckily, this is all that occurred with these apples. We didn't have too much in the way of lost apples because of the frost. So we have a few with a frost ring, but they're still just as delicious. Let's try them. A little bit of sweetness, a little bit of tart. Ron taught us the best way to pick an apple. Contrary to common belief, pulling down is not as effective as pushing up and twisting. Along the way, we also tried the McCowan, an extra sweet cross between a Canadian black twig and a McIntosh, as well as an Evercrisp, a cross between a Fuji apple and a Honeycrisp. Each variety matures at a slightly different time during the harvest month of October, thereby extending the season. Many of the tranquil rows of apple trees they have on their orchard are designated specifically for cider making.
All our bigger trees are for juice.
These are cider apples. They're not meant for picking, but they are meant for making apple cider. They're mixed in with other apples and create the mixture that we all know and love as apple cider. They use machinery to vigorously shake the trees, harvest the apples on large tarps, and press them into cider. For every 20 bushels of apples, they can yield 50 gallons of juice. All of their ciders are flash pasteurized, or heated to 160 degrees and then quickly cooled to 40 degrees in just 6 seconds. Do you know what makes the difference between apple cider and apple juice? Well, apple cider is flash pasteurized for 6 seconds at 160 degrees. At 168, it changes the color. 178 changes the color and the taste. And if you flash pasteurize past 185 degrees, it's considered apple juice. In addition to the pasteurization temperature difference, apple juice is often from concentrate and doesn't contain any solids that the apple cider has. Inside their family farmhouse, they wash, brush, sort, and sell their apples, press and bottle their non-alcoholic and alcoholic cider, and bake goods with the fruits of their labor. At Brace's, the Honeycrisp is king, and they're more expensive because of how fragile an apple they are.
And you have to actually cut the stem, because it's such a long stem. When it goes through the grater, it punctures the apple. So you really have to treat Honeycrisp with more care.
Honeycrisps are used for their homemade pies and for their caramel and chocolate apples, which fly off the shelves for every holiday from Halloween all the way to Memorial Day.
We start with putting a caramel finish on them, then we put chocolate, then we drizzle them with white and milk chocolate. So we start with a big apple and we finish with even a bigger apple.
The only exception is the candy apple, which Honeycrisp is not used for.
Honeycrisp doesn't work for candy. For some reason, the candy doesn't adhere to the natural finish of the apple. So we use usually Macallan's, Macintosh, something like that with a smoother finish.
As Newswatch 16 played in the background, which Paul says they watch every day as he sorts through his apples, he explained how every single person in the family pitches in to help the business run like a well-oiled machine. Even his parents, who were in their 90s.
My father and my mother are still helping us. My mom actually peels the peaches for the top of our French loaf peaches. My dad picks all the grapes. He helps jug all the cider. And my sister makes all the baked goods, from dumplings down to pies, down to loaves, down to cookies. They're baking right fresh. You can see them right in the oven.
Don't they look good?
My wife makes all the donuts. She gets up at 3 o'clock and makes thousands of donuts a day.
Paul even offers a product from his orchard in memory of his late son, Paul Brace Jr., who passed away tragically at the young age of 24. Brace's offers a handful of hard cider flavors, the pride and joy brainchild of his late son, and develops a new flavor every single fall. The 2023 flavor was Orange Creamsicle. The Braces proudly plan on opening a cidery right on the orchard for patrons to be able to enjoy their delicious and fresh concoctions this year.
We really are fortunate for our customers and everybody that comes and supports us, because without them, we are not here.
Jeremy Lewan, Newswatch 16, Luzerne County. Cheers.
Cheers.
Delicious.
That's delicious.